So unfortunately, this is the sad death of our epropulsion electric outboard.
Hi, my name's Micah, and this is my wife Grace and our two kids, Gabriel and Alana. We saw them growing up fast and wanted to see the world while they were still with us. So we fixed up a 37-foot aluminum catamaran, have been living on it for almost 2 years now. We've added Cypher to our family since we started. We've been exploring the oceans and reefs of the Florida Keys, but are getting ready to explore more of the Caribbean.
Tomorrow we're still in paradise.
Join us as we share more of our adventures with you.
Had it for almost 2 years and charged it completely off of our solar. We've really loved the electric motor, and we're going to try to stick with electric motors from now on, but I don't think I would ever buy another epropulsion or Torqueedo for a few reasons. Now, if I got one for a really good deal as like a backup motor, I would consider that, but not for our main motor. So the issues we've had in the past are, to start off, the battery normally doesn't have this cable coming out of it. The cable comes from the controller here and plugs straight into it like this. Now, I've had some other epropulsion users also have problems with this, where this locking part breaks off on the actual battery. So at that point, your battery doesn't connect correctly. In our case, so we have these 4 really big wires, and these are the power, and then there's 4 tiny little pins, and those tiny little pins are for the computer. So everything in the handle that tells you, if the battery is overheating, or if it's the right voltage, or if there's something blocking the motor. All of that information goes through those 4 little pins. And when it's not connecting correctly because this locking mechanism broke, we actually had one of the pins break off, and then the whole system's useless. And that is the reason why we're not going to be sticking with this type of system. I'm probably going to be switching over to something like Elco, which builds really good units, and they don't deal with the batteries. So you have to get your own separate batteries. They will suggest some, of course, but the unit is self-sufficient, and then if you have a problem with your battery, you can buy a new battery and hook it up to it. But I found the parts for epropulsion are hard to get. No one really services it at all, and their customer service is pretty horrendous, and the parts are really expensive. So like with this battery situation where I have the cable coming out of here now, I actually had to buy it. This cable was just an extension cable, and I had to go get it, and it was like $100-something. It took like a month to get in, and then I had to take apart the entire battery, which I'll show you at the end of this video, me doing that. And it's really just not the greatest setup. Now this battery system is still operational. I'll probably use it as a battery because it's a kilowatt battery that will power a lot of different things. But so what we have here, and the issue, like I said, I found with this system is everything is computer based, and when we're on the water and have the waves bashing and everything, things tend to have little glitches here and there, and a single glitch will shut down the entire motor, and there's a very good chance you can't get that going again until you get some tech support or some extra product or whatever. So the main battery system, the main computer that I thought was right here in the handle. And obviously it is. So originally, the first thing that I had problems with, besides the actual battery cord, is this power button. And it's just from us not excessive use, just using it as a normal dinghy motor. It actually wore a hole in this plastic guard. And we're gonna eventually get water in there, and it's gonna short out that whole system. And then once again, like I said, nothing's gonna work. So I ended up just putting some silicone over it, but now that's already actually worn out, which there's no reason to replace it because we're done with this motor. And then the tiller handle, so the throttle, is all part of a electronic system that connects with the computer right here, like I said. And so my plan was, since I was having this error code, error 66, I wasn't sure exactly what it was. I tried to figure out as much as I could. And then eventually I sent in to epropulsion what the reason was, because in the manual it didn't go up to 66. And they didn't send it back to me for a couple of days. So I started working on other stuff and just decided it wasn't, I did enough troubleshooting to know that it was probably one of the computers is messed up. Because there is also a monitoring system in the battery too. And something was not communicating correctly. And they actually just sent me something today saying that they don't have an error code 66 for this. So obviously their tech system is not working correctly either, because, well, I have an error 66 and they're not even claiming that exists. So eventually what I wanted to do is just turn this into an old school motor. I have a power limiter from another electric trolling motor that I was just going to stick on here so that I could have like level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power and just run this as a no longer a smart motor. So first thing I had to do was I had to take the battery apart, and I had to connect the output straight into the battery pack, and also connect that battery pack to the computer system so I can still charge it. So now it's turned into just a charger slash it sends out power. So before, you would not get power from here, from the battery, until the computer said it was fine. So it would check all the systems and say, okay, everything's good, and then it would send power from the battery. So now it's always going to be sending power from this cable like a normal battery would. So that was my first step. The second step was I hooked it up to the motor, and I just wanted to see if it would turn on, and it didn't. So at first I thought just those battery cables ran straight to the motor, and then the only difference was the computer told it when to have power and when not to have power. But obviously that wasn't the case. So I kept tracing the power back. It goes in through here, it goes down through this pipe, and then I got to the motor itself. Here, just one sec, let me take this apart. So this is a brushless motor, and this is the one part that's solid, and this is the magnetic part that moves around. And you see in here, see if I can get it correctly. So this is the battery cables that come in, and it plugs into this other computer system, and then it comes out these 3 wires that plug into the other part, which either turns magnets on or off to make it go forward or backward and all of that. So what we have is another separate computer system that is not going to run until all of the checks and balances work out. So without everything working the way it shows, this is not going to run at all. Now, like I said, this was a great motor for us. We mostly were in the harbor though, and now that we're going to be doing some more adventures, we're going through Marquesas right now. We're going to be in the Bahamas this winter, hopefully, and I can't have a motor that's going to just poop out on me just because of some weird glitch, because like I said, the support is horrible and I can't get the parts in time. And we would just be stranded for a very long time. So the same exact system pretty much is in Torqueedo, and all of the systems that have the batteries included. So it takes a little more effort to understand what type of battery you need and what system will work for you. But for me, I think it's well worth it to have a system that I can change out parts on as needed without having to go back to the dealer to take care of. Now, this could be the perfect system for someone who lives in an area where they can get it serviced if they have an extra motor that they can use in the meantime, and a situation like that, similar to what we were in this last year, except we weren't very close to any dealers or anything, so I had to still do a lot of the work myself. So that's my opinion on the epropulsion and Torqueedo. If I need to be honest, the different people I've talked to who have Torqueedos have some of the same problems, and but I love electric motors. So like I said, I think I want to end up getting like an Elco, probably about the 9.9 horsepower one is what we're looking at. At this point, I'm not sure we're going straight to that because it's rather expensive. I'll need a really big battery system, and I don't think our solar would run that big of a system right now. So we're looking into what we're going to do in the meantime. I think for the Marquesas right now, we have a friend who's going to be loaning us just a 3 horsepower gas engine that we'll be using, and that will be fine for this little trip. But after that, we're definitely going to be upgrading, and maybe we'll try out some knockoff brands and let you know how they work for us and the pros and cons of those. But I'll probably stick with systems, like I said, that have batteries and the motors separate. Since I do still have the battery for this, that's a 48 system battery that I can still use for a different motor. So if you guys are thinking all about switching to electric, I would definitely suggest it. Just it's so much quieter. I've never had a problem with it starting, besides those issues that I knew about, and then today with it just the electronics failing on this, but I'm going to be changing that out with the new system. And it's just been, we never have to worry about gas. We never have to worry about that type of stuff. I can have, my kids just hop in and use it. They can easily turn it on. It's just push a button. So there's a lot of benefits that we found to it, and you really just have to find the system that works for you. So today we are taking apart a epropulsion Spirit 1.0 battery pack. The reason we're doing that is because there's a little problem that I've had with it so far. I love the motor, but there is I don't know if you can see it here. Okay, on this, there's those 4 big pegs, which are the power, but then there's, you probably can't see, 4 tiny, tiny, tiny pins that connect the everything in the BMS. So it tells how much voltage is going, probably the temperature, all of this stuff goes to the controller on the arm so that it will accurately and safely work. The problem I've had is one of those tiny pins broke. The reason that tiny pin broke was because at one point, right here is where the battery attaches to the controller. This tiny piece right here broke off, which made it so that this did not connect exactly right. And when that did not connect exactly right, it wiggled that pin around, and since it's just a tiny, tiny pin, it eventually snapped off and I couldn't do anything. It wouldn't start up at all. Now that's a little bit of a design flaw, I think, and in the future I'll probably, once I connect all of this, I'm going to just leave it and not take off the battery at all to charge. I'll just charge it right on my dinghy. But I didn't want this to happen again, so what I did was I bought a extension cable, and it has both sides, obviously. So I took apart the battery, which it's actually a pretty simple battery. So we have the lithium batteries right here. We have the charge is here, right on the top. It goes in here. Little power to the light that shows if it's charging or not, and then all the cables that come from the that go to the controller, 2 positive, 2 negative, and here's all those tiny little cables that I had a problem with. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the new extender cable and have it go right through here. I'm going to drill through here and seal it up again, so that this can just be an export through here, and it will still be watertight. And then I'm going to attach the other side to the controller that we had the problem with. So I do have to do twice as much soldering in this way, but I think it will be safer in the end and much more durable. Obviously, if you do something like that, it's going to void the warranty, but I got this from someone who had used it like 4 or 5 times and didn't pass on the warranty anyway, so it's something that I didn't have. So I'm just going to have to make do with what it is, but I got this for about $1,200 instead of $2,000, so I think I'm in pretty good shape. This cable though was $100, which is a little bit annoying. Hopefully I won't have to do anything like this again, but I figure there's not a lot out there showing you the insides of the epropulsion battery, so I figured I'd let you guys take a look at it. So just as like a recap on the electric dinghy engine, our epropulsion died. We ended up using that about a 10 horsepower Mercury motor for almost 3 weeks, and that just solidified in my mind that I just really hate gas motors, and we missed our electric motors so much. So when we got back from the Marquesas, ended up getting just this little Chinese Hengkai 2.2 kilowatt motor, which is almost twice the size of our epropulsion, and it has some better things that I like than the epropulsion, a couple of worse things. It's like a little over $500, and a brand new epropulsion that we had would be close to $2,000, which is pretty amazing, the price difference. So I'm going to be doing a full review on this after I use it for about a month or 2. I've only had it on here for about 2 weeks. I'm still actually using the epropulsion battery though, so that's kind of funny. But it also made us think more than ever, just the amount that we disliked the gas outboard, and how much we love having this electric again, just really makes me think, I've been wanting to look into electric propulsion for our actual boat. We thought about that originally, but I just didn't have enough. You can push off. I just didn't really have enough understanding of everything and experience to know if that was doable. We didn't have the rigging for sailing at that point, and all of that's changed. I think it's something we're definitely going to look into, and it's just something that the amount that I liked the amount that I like the electric motor over the gas for our dinghy, I think it's going to be about the same with our actual boat too. So it's something that we're definitely seriously looking into now.
Thanks for joining us today. If you want to support the channel, then subscribe and hit the like button. Or check out our coloring book at www.floridakeyscoloring.com and on Amazon. See you next week.
Fight with your best friend, world's too big to watch it all pass you by. I live each day, not just once in a lifetime life.